The Microsoft licensing system is still tracking which cloud you host on right now, and the European Commission can't stop it. One clause, buried inside a legal document called the product terms, decides whether your Windows Server bill doubles overnight. Brussels investigated. Brussels settled. And the mechanism that makes Azure artificially cheaper than every competing cloud is still running. Today, we're exposing the actual document Microsoft never wanted read out loud. The product terms is officially just a rule book. It governs how businesses license Windows Server, SQL Server, and Office. Nobody outside a procurement department has ever read it for fun. On paper, it exists to keep licensing consistent across a company that sells software to nearly every business on Earth. It's boring by design. It's supposed to be neutral. The same rules whether you run that software in your own building or in someone else's data center. That neutrality is the whole story. Because somewhere in this document, cloud computing stopped being a technology contest. It became a contract clause. And the clause has a name almost nobody outside legal teams has heard. Listed providers. Here's what it actually does. If your company owns a Windows Server or SQL Server license and wants to run it on Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, or Alibaba, the three clouds Microsoft specifically names as listed providers, the license mobility rights you get on Azure quietly disappear. You either can't bring your existing license at all, or you pay for a new one stacked on top of what you already own. Same software, same workload, different cloud, different price. Independent audits have put the markup at up to 5 times the cost of running identical infrastructure on Azure. Not because Azure's hardware is better, because the contract says so, and it's still running. In 2022, a coalition of European cloud providers called CISPE filed a formal antitrust complaint. Their argument was simple. Microsoft was using software licensing, not competition, to lock customers into its own cloud. The European Commission opened an investigation in 2023. That's the part regulators are supposed to win. Instead, in 2024, Microsoft negotiated a private settlement directly with CISPE before the Commission issued any binding ruling. The case was closed. No fine, no public order to stop. And the two biggest competitors this clause was actually built to squeeze out, Amazon and Google, refused to sign it. They called the settlement hollow. The regulator moved on anyway. Here's the part nobody reported. This isn't the kind of monopoly law usually catches. Classic antitrust goes after companies for tying one product to another, force customers to buy X to get Y. That's provable, that's prosecutable. What Microsoft built is different. It's just licensing its own copyrighted software under whatever terms it wants, to whoever it wants, on whatever infrastructure it wants. That's not tying. That's contract law. And contract law lets a company set almost any condition it likes on its own intellectual property, as long as it doesn't explicitly name a competitor as a target, which is exactly why the clause is worded around infrastructure categories, listed providers, instead of company names. It survives scrutiny by not looking like a weapon. The 2024 settlement Microsoft signed was never published in full. It applies only to CISPE's own members, only inside Europe, and it does not bind Microsoft anywhere else in the world. The exact wording of the clause that sets your cloud bill was never forced into public view. It's still sitting in the same document, governing the same licenses for every company outside that narrow settlement. And it's still running. If your company, your school district, or the platform holding your data runs Windows Server or SQL Server anywhere other than Azure, you are already paying a cost built into a contract almost nobody in your organization has read. That cost gets passed to you in subscription prices, in slower migrations, in vendors who quietly choose Azure not because it's better, but because the alternative is priced to lose. And it doesn't stop at big companies. Smaller hosting providers, the ones running the SaaS tools and school platforms your data actually lives on, face the same markup if they try to leave Azure, which means the infrastructure holding your information keeps consolidating into fewer hands, one licensing clause at a time. Records from the EU's own consultation show Microsoft representatives sat on advisory discussions that helped shape how listed providers would be defined, years before regulators opened a case against that same language. The company that built the maze also helped draw the map regulators used to investigate it. So the clause is still there. The bill is still calculated the same way. The regulator that was supposed to strike it down instead signed a private deal and walked away. If the authority meant to police this already chose a quiet settlement over a public ruling, who's actually still watching the meter on your cloud bill tonight?